didn't start yours.
Okay. Hang on.
Oh gosh. Maybe I should just get it out.
What is that sound?
All of your viewers are going to be like, why does she have dogs dancing across the screen?
Starting my video.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Karen Vaughn. I'm the Gold Star mother of fallen Navy SEAL Aaron Vaughn, and I'm also the Vice President of Moms for America. And in lieu of the fact that our president was forced to postpone his State of the Union address, Moms across America decided that we would have our own. So we rallied mothers from all over this nation to join us here tonight in Washington, D.C. and have our voices heard. We're tired of being silent. We feel like the conservative female voice has been silenced, and we are not willing to stand for that any longer. The state of life in this country is in serious jeopardy. Just over a week ago, the annual March for Life once again took place in Washington, D.C. Massive crowds of concerned Americans descended on the city to peacefully make their voices heard as ones who support the fundamental right to life. And as is the case year after year, the mainstream media ignored them, once again marginalizing the most helpless among us, the unborn. The mainstream media also ignored Pennsylvania Dr. Kermit Gosnell, who operated an abortion mill turned charnel house for decades and got away with it, despite more than 20 years of complaints against him. Even after it was clear that Gosnell was a serial killer who ran abortion clinics, media outlets such as then Washington Post reporter Sarah Cliff downplayed this horror story as a local crime story. Since the mainstream media completely ignored his atrocities against humanity, most Americans still have never heard of Dr. Kermit Gosnell, the most prolific serial killer in American history. The hostility toward life has now become law in New York. Babies in New York can now be aborted, killed, up to moments before their birth. This is beyond late-term and even partial birth abortion, This is genocide. As Governor Andrew Cuomo signed this law, many on the left cheered it. They even lit up the One World Trade Center, the monument to the lives lost on 9/11, turned it pink to celebrate this ghastly law, which is one of the most radical anti-life laws the United States, maybe the world, has ever known. If you witnessed a scene in a horror movie, such as these ghastly pre-birth abortions, any normal human being would be forced to turn away. Yet it was celebrated with a standing ovation by New York's Democratic leaders and many others on the left. I can't help but think of a famous quote from a famous movie. So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. I'd be willing to bet that those who celebrated the passage of this barbaric law would send another American to prison if they did such a thing to a pregnant animal. Astoundingly, this grotesque law came from the governor who declared the death penalty morally indefensible, an act that has no place in the 21st century. Maybe you're wondering what actual doctors have to say about the necessity of this type of abortion. Well, according to Dr. Omar Hamada, who has delivered more than 2,500 babies, there's not a single fetal or maternal condition that requires third trimester abortions. Not one. These are his words, not mine. Delivery, yes. Abortion, no. There is absolutely no medical reason, according to this doctor, to kill a near-term or term infant. In his words, we just deliver the baby. We don't have to kill it. The right to life is a very personal issue for me. I was only 18 years old when I found out that I was pregnant. A freshman in college, obviously an unplanned pregnancy. I wasn't married, so many encouraged me to do the easy thing, they called it, and just abort my baby. But that was never an option for me or my child's father. We chose life. And thank God we did, because that child, Aaron Carson Vaughn, was one of the greatest loves of my entire life. He grew into a noble man with a servant's heart, with a deep passion and love for his God, his country, and his family. It was a natural leap for him to enlist in the U.S. Navy after completing college. He chose a life of service, a life of sacrifice. He became a U.S. Navy SEAL, reaching the pinnacle of his career in the highly lauded SEAL Team 6. Aaron was a lead breacher, a door kicker. He lived every moment of his life in sacrificial abandon to a greater cause, that of his fellow Americans, not his fellow Republicans or conservatives. He fought for all Americans. He fought to preserve that dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He believed in the American way of life. On August 6, 2011, he lost his life while rushing into battle to save others. He died running to the fight, not away from it. His legacy has been astounding. Because of the noble life he led, he's been honored on television specials, in magazines, including being on the cover of Soldier of Fortune. He's been honored in NFL games, on the hoods of NASCARs, in Major League Baseball games. A tattoo he bore on his forearm has been copied by hundreds, if not thousands, who've read his story and wanted somehow to honor his memory. My point? That unplanned pregnancy became the life of a world changer, a man who left a mark on our nation's history, who's still, 7+ years after his death, leaving a mark. No child is a mistake. Every life is a gift from God. But the state of our union in this respect is painful. In 2015, in the state of Florida alone, my state, there were 71,740 abortions. 92.3% of them were simply for convenience. No reason at all. Another 6.27% were chosen for economic purposes. That means that almost 99% of these 71,740 murdered babies had nothing to do with physical or mental health of the mother, or circumstances such as rape or incest. We need to wake up. Killing our future cannot be the answer for a civilized society. By the way, I'm also the mother of an adopted child, a child of another mother who could not provide for her child, but chose life nonetheless. Again, no child is a mistake. As a mom, I stand for life. Motherhood is an honor. It's a calling. Being a mom is membership in the most powerful, influential group of people in America, in the world. We're the hands that rock the cradle. We build the future. I'm honored to be here tonight, standing with moms for America, and standing up for life. And I ask you to join us and do the same. It's important to remember that inaction is action. What we choose not to do could more profoundly affect the future than all of our actions combined. Joseph Warren once said, "Our country is in danger, but not to be despaired of. Our enemies are numerous and powerful, but we have many friends, determining to be free, and heaven and earth will aid the resolution. On you depend the fortunes of American millions yet unborn. Act worthy of yourselves." Thank you.
The state of security in this country should trouble every single mother in every single community. Mothers, we are living in perilous times, times when protecting our border is seen as racism and building a wall is called immoral. And yet, the death count of Americans killed by illegal immigrants continues to rise. And my husband, Carlos Wolf, is part of that death count. My husband was a supervisory special FBI agent who dedicated his life to make the United States and the countries of our allies a safer place. Carlos was born in Venezuela and came to the United States with his family when he was 8 years old. He entered the FBI as an agent at the young age of 25. On December 8, 2017, my husband of 12 years and the father of our 2 small children was run over by an illegal immigrant who had a long list of offenses already committed. Along with him killed was Deputy Chief Fire Marshal Sander Cohen. Sander was a captain of the Rockville Fire Department and commander of the Northeast region of Maryland. As a fire captain, he was a mentor to many and a friend to all. Sander began his career in service to his fellow Americans when he was just 15 years old and was bestowed many citations for serving Maryland citizens. The night of December 8th, Carlos was involved in a single vehicle crash. Sander Cohen came to Carlos's aid by stopping his personal vehicle to assist him. Carlos and Sander were on the shoulder waiting for police to arrive when they were run over and killed by Roberto Garza Palacios, an illegal who had overstayed his visa since 2009. Palacios was not tested for drugs or alcohol at the scene, nor at the hospital. But Palacios was no stranger to run-ins with the law. In 2015, Palacios was cited for drunk driving, endangerment of life, property, and person for driving on a sidewalk, and bashing the window of 16 cars with a steel bar. He pled guilty to negligent driving and received a fine of $330. Because of his offenses, in 2015, ICE requested that Montgomery County jail officials hold him on a detainer to determine if he should be deported. But because of Maryland sanctuary state laws, the request to hold Palacios was not honored, so he was released. For running over Sander and Carlos, Palacios received a negligence driving charge and a fine of $280. He was arrested by ICE in May of last year, but is out on a $15,000 bail. His deportation hearing is not until March. When you turn on the news, you see the outrage over immigrant families being temporarily separated. Where is that same outrage for Americans being permanently separated? We don't get to have Carlos and Sander for the rest of our lives on this earth. My children don't get to have their father, and Carlos does not get to see our children grow up. The Cohens don't get to have their one and only son. Meanwhile, Palacios is enjoying the freedoms of America while committing offenses with little or no consequences. The laws of this country must change. Instead of the laws protecting law-abiding citizens, they are now protecting illegal immigrants. How many lives will be lost before something is done? Enough is enough. As mothers, we must rise up and fight against the injustices occurring in our country. Otherwise, what kind of country will be left for our children and our children's children? Many politicians say that building a wall is immoral. Well, not building a wall and letting our sovereign country be destroyed as the politicians turn a blind eye to the suffering of those affected by illegal alien crime, now that is immoral. And let us be clear, losing the lives of Americans to illegals is not a manufactured crisis. And if you have been affected by illegal alien crime, please visit the Angel Family website at angelfamilies.org and please share your story. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
name is Teresa Taylor. I'm a Coast Guard Gold Star wife. I'm here to speak on the state of Coast Guard families' futures. They're uncertain. Karen Vaughn just shared, as a Gold Star mom, what it means to have lost her son. I'm here to represent Gold Star wives. We are also many times mothers, wives who've been left behind when our husbands have given the ultimate sacrifice. Unlike the two that just spoke before me, my husband did not lose his life by any act of violence or aggression or war or battle. Rather, he gave his life. He was a protector. That's what fathers are. They're protectors. Children that have given this sacrifice now feel uncertain. They wonder, who will protect me? What things that were certain in our country no longer feel certain? Almost 7 years to the day, my husband, Lieutenant Commander Dale Taylor, an HH-65 Dolphin helicopter pilot, was killed in the line of duty. It was a training accident, a dark night in Mobile Bay. He was training a very young, unseasoned pilot. Very bad weather came in. It was an inherently dangerous situation that requires the utmost training. U.S. Coast Guard aviators, all Coast Guardsmen are the elite. They're experts. They understand what their job is, and they do it to perfection. It requires training, and even training requires risk. My life was changed, just like many of the women here, with a phone call or the dreaded knock on a door, where you know your life will never be the same, never before or after. My children were only 4 and 7 at the time. Since then, I've raised them alone. They've spent as much time without their father as with. I've been asked many questions that I don't know how to answer, because it was a question their dad should have answered. However, I'm grateful each day for the friends, the family, the support that this nation makes possible, the things that our nation represents. And I know my husband died for a good reason. But just last week on Capitol Hill, it infuriated me, it frustrated me, it even confused to the utmost degree many of my co-widowed friends. We were left wondering, will we even be paid? Will our child's survivor benefit plans be paid to us as promised? It was a question we shouldn't have to answer or even wonder about. We have enough questions as it is. But to see our leadership vote down a clean bill to pay our Coast Guard, and even so, our government to, in other words, use us as political pawns, is infuriating and unacceptable. The Coast Guard, they're rescuers. They have a mantra, and that is honor, respect, and devotion to duty. They often say, we don't have to go out, but we do have to come back. This is exactly what my husband lived and died for. But to see, again, our government push us aside, again, as political pawns, is completely unacceptable and infuriating. Ironically, at the same time, my son had looked forward to his 8th grade field trip to our nation's capital, and he enjoyed it very much. He took in the sights. But it wasn't until he had been back home for 2 or 3 days, he sat holding back tears, and he told me about how brave I thought he was brave. He actually broke away from his group. He asked a chaperone to take him to see his father's gravesite at Arlington. And I was just struck by, this is the thing no 14-year-old boy should actually have to do. Yet I was very proud that he did it. And again, at the very same time, on the same Capitol Hill, our government couldn't even agree to pay our Coast Guard. My sons will forever ask questions such as, why did my dad have to die? And why did this happen to us? It's heartbreaking to try and answer these questions sufficiently, but much easier when you know your government is doing its job and will honor the highest cost that has been paid. When those things become uncertain, it becomes very hard for single moms, especially Gold Star moms, to answer those questions with confidence. I would like to ask the Congress, the leadership of our government, to just consider that your actions do expose how you prefer to hurt our military and destroy our children's futures, our borders, rather than uphold what people like my husband died to protect. The reality is you have successfully inflicted pain onto those of us who've already endured very much pain for our country. Mr. President, on behalf of Gold Star children especially, please don't back down on your promise. Gold Star families, above all, deserve to be protected. After all, our protectors are no longer here on the earth. God bless.
Hello. I feel so inadequate following the three ladies that just came before me. What they have sacrificed, they've sacrificed more than any of us here in this room and probably that are even watching. I would ask that you keep them in your prayers. I thank them for their stories and for their willingness to share that with all of us. I'm here to discuss the state of the family from a legal perspective. My name is Beth Parlato. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3 children, grown children, and I also am a family law attorney for over 26 years. I have broken it down into 3 different areas for you. I'm going to discuss facts, we're going to discuss the family, and then freedom. Here's some facts. The traditional family has been on a decline while divorce and cohabitation is on the rise. We have 40% of babies in our country are born to unwed parents, to non-married parents. We have 400,000 children in the United States foster care system, and we also have 2.5 million children on a yearly basis that are homeless. Our families are in crisis. There's no doubt about it. There's a war in our families, and I believe our children are being indoctrinated and they're being insensitized to the left's political ideology and their political agenda. Let's hit a few areas of where I believe the left is attacking our families. Education. The authority is being taken away from parents. It's a known fact that educators tend to be left-leaning. And with the educators are the ones that are teaching the curriculum, they're the ones that are making the curriculum. I believe there's no doubt that the curriculum is left-leaning and they are using that to indoctrinate our children. Beginning in kindergarten. The kindergarten kids at 5 years old are being taught that there's 15 plus genders. We have our high school kids where they're being taught take a knee to the national anthem or they don't have to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have our progressive college campuses. What's happening on our campuses? We have crying rooms and safe zones, and now they've had to make areas for free speech. After education, there's this new, I guess it's not new, it's been around for quite a while, but it's just taking up steam right now, and that's the raising genderless children. So we hear this coming out of Hollywood, and they're deciding that we have they babies, they're not going to name them boys or girls, and they are going to raise their children with no gender and then let the kids decide when the kids get older. First of all, I want to be clear that gender is not a decision, gender is a fact. You're either male or female at birth. Secondly, make no mistake, the movement of genderless parenting has nothing to do with the best interest of a child. It has everything to do with the parents using their children to push their political agenda. Misguided feminism and the attack on our boys. That's the other area I wanted to talk about that I believe that the left is indoctrinating our kids. We had over the summer the travesty that was Judge Kavanaugh, and a good man with an impeccable professional reputation was almost ruined. A couple weeks ago, we had the liberal media going crazy over the Covington Catholic High School boys. What is going on with the left that they are blaming our boys and making them the enemy of our country? Over the course of 26 years as being a family law attorney, I have seen firsthand the shift with judges in the courtroom, with court advocates, with social workers, and also with my colleagues and my fellow attorneys. And this is a dangerous path that we're going down. The left is demanding that we must believe women. The left is demanding that you are convicting somebody and basically telling them that they're guilty without any due process and without any evidence. This has led to the devaluing of our laws, and not only in family law and criminal law, but let's just look at the federal law with our sanctuary cities and our sanctuary states and our legal immigration, which was touched on a little bit earlier. The left has no regard for the laws of our nation. With those being some facts, let's talk about how they affect our families. How did this happen? I personally believe that there's a declining moral foundation of our society, and it didn't happen overnight. There were behaviors and there were moral acts, and they were taking place throughout our country little by little. And these changes started creeping in, they became accepted, and now in 2019, they're the norm. As moms, we need to fight against this liberalization of the family. I believe moms are the heartbeat of America. We're the heartbeat of our families. I also believe that families are the cornerstone of our culture. And with that, when there's a breakdown in the family, it absolutely makes our country less stable. We see this instability with what's going on right now with the division between the left and the right. The left is applauding and the left is encouraging such disrespect. We have disrespect for law enforcement. We have disrespect for our military. We have disrespect for Border Patrol, ICE agents, veterans, our flag, our anthem, our country, and our country's laws. We all know what's right and wrong. I think we inherently have a moral compass. The problem is that the wrongs are being disregarded in the name of tolerance. We don't have to look any further than what just happened last Tuesday in New York State. I'm a New Yorker. I've been in New York my entire life, and I want to say publicly that I am disgusted by my governor and by my legislators that passed this abortion law. They are dehumanizing and they are taking away the personhood of a baby. If anything else, this should show everybody and evidence to everybody the utter lack of morality that is the left and has become the left. So where does this leave us? As conservative women and as conservative moms, I think we need to start with protecting the Constitution, protecting our freedoms. We have guaranteed protections under the United States Constitution. The left wants to use those protections when it suits them, but isn't it ironic that whenever anybody on the right wants to apply our constitutions, that we are not allowed to exercise it, and we're intolerant, and we're racist, and we're every other name that they're using with the IST at the end of it? I say, as a mom and a wife and a conservative woman, family law attorney, I believe we should take it no more. I encourage all of you to take a stand, and there's 3 things that I'm advocating to take a stand for. Rise up in the defense of our families. Rise up for the sanctity of life, and rise up for our religious freedom. At Moms for America, we've decided to do something. We have decided to be part of the solution, not to sit back. We are going to take action. My question for you is, will you join us? Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Fletcher. I am the president founder of Moms for America. I am the wife of a retired military officer, and I am a mother of 8 children, 6 sons and 2 daughters. And I now have 3 grandchildren, 2 boys and a little girl. And everything that I do, And the purpose that we're here is for them. Sorry. The conservative, everyday, common sense moms of this nation are not being heard. We have come here tonight to give them a voice. You've heard the voice of a lot of moms this evening, and many who weren't able to be here on such short notice. But they're out there, and they want to be heard, and they care about these things as much as those of us who are here do. I want you to understand why it is that we felt being here was so important. This is our opportunity to talk about what we feel is the state of our union. The constitutional government that was set up by our founding fathers and mothers, families who sacrificed so much to give us this freedom and this liberty. And where are we at right now with the legacy that they have left us, the gift that they sacrificed so much to leave for us? And I want you to understand why it is that it's so important to me. And I think we all have that moment in our lives where we suddenly realize things aren't right and they need to change, or we need to do something different. And for me, that was September 11th, 2001. And my entire life changed that day. My husband was stationed at the Pentagon. And through a series of miracles, he came home that day. I will never forget that day. And I remember sitting on the couch that evening with my family, and I just kept thinking, well, at least we have this time together. Because the last thing you want when something like that happens is for you to be separated in any way. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm thinking, okay, well, at least we have a couple of days, because where's he going to go to work? They have to have time to find a place for him to go to work. Later that evening, my husband came into our bedroom, and he had a look on his face that was surreal, and I knew something was wrong. And I asked him, I said, what is it? And he said, that was the commander. I'm going to work tomorrow. And I said, you can't, that's crazy. How did they find someplace so fast? And I said, where are you going to go? And he said, the Pentagon. And I said, you can't go, the Pentagon is still burning. Do you understand what you're saying? This makes no sense. And he said, Kimberly, this comes from Secretary Rumsfeld. We're sending a message to the world. We're still here. And at that moment, my heart just swelled. And I just wanted to say, you go, and you fight for our freedom, and you fight for our liberty. And as much as I didn't want him to walk out that door the next morning, I committed to myself right then, I am going to do whatever it takes to make sure that my children remain free. We're still here. The mothers of America who have been ignored, we are here. And we will be heard, and this is our opportunity to be heard. We're not going away. Moms for America, Moms March, we're here. We're united. We're going to fight. Join us and stand for the things that matter. As time has passed, the divisions in our country have grown beyond anything I could have imagined. But do you remember what it was like after 9/11? The day after? When we were all united for an entire year? And members of Congress lined up together. There was no color. There was no political party. It was just everybody came together to support each other. And our own members of Congress stood on the steps of the Capitol and sang, God bless America together. I want to go back there. I want to be there. That's the America that I love, and that's the America I want to see. It's like there's an invisible hand that's dividing us. We're not doing it ourselves, but others are convincing us that we can't get along, that colors divide us, or education background, or monetary. It all divides us. There's nothing that divides us. We are united as Americans, regardless of how much money we make, what color we are, what religion we are. We're all Americans, and American mothers have the ability to unite this nation together, because motherhood is the great unifier. It's beginning to seem as if we're no longer Americans, united as one nation, but fractured extensions of various groups. We have the ability to change that. Why are we allowing this to happen? Here I am before you today, one mother to another, asking you to wake up. Wake up to your family, your community, your nation, and yourself. The hand that rocks the cradle, rules the world isn't just a cute little saying, it is an immortalized fact. Women are the very heart of society, laying the foundation for the future. We have been at the rise and fall of thousands of years of civilizations. Even the Bible tells us how far-reaching our influence is. While Esther saved a nation, Jezebel tore one down. Women are a powerful influence. We always have been, and we always will be. The only question we have is to decide what kind of future we want. We want. As for me, I choose to plant my feet and take a stand. A stand for a secure border. A stand for the fundamental right of life in our country's next generation. A stand for our constitutional right to protect our freedom, to speak our mind, to live our values, and teach them to our children. A stand for civility in this nation, where we respect one another's voices and recognize their humanity, even when we don't agree with them. The future is in our hands, yours and mine. Will you join me? Will you join us and be the light that this nation so desperately needs to find its way out of the darkness? First, commit to connecting with your family on every level. Family dinners, game night, unplugged Sundays, whatever it takes. Commit to reconnecting with your neighbors, no matter who they are, what they look like, or who they voted for. Lend a helping hand and a listening ear, an encouraging word. Commit to yourself to make a difference for this nation, for your family, for your community. Register to vote, to educate yourself on the Constitution, to serve in your community. But most of all, to think for yourself. Stand for what you know is right, and never ever be afraid to speak out. You are not alone. Our voices have been diminished for far too long, but tonight, in every corner of this great country, we unite to say enough is enough. We will stand together to fight the culture of death of this nation, the assaults on freedom, the refusal to secure our border, the attacks on our faith and our family. We were born for such a time as this. We are the change that we wish to see in the world. We are the light in the darkness. Be the light that you are born to be. I want to leave each and every mother with a very special message. You are beautiful. You are worthy. You are loved by your Creator. And He needs you. He needs His daughters to rise up and stand for truth, be ambassadors of truth. You are capable of more than you can possibly imagine. Your influence is greater than you could possibly know. And whatever you are facing today, it will get better. Reach out to another mom and take her hand. Let's lean on each other and revive that spirit of sisterhood and sense of community that once thrived among the women of America. Let's love one another. Let's get to work saving this nation by strengthening our families and our communities one day at a time. I want to show you something. This right here, this represents 1,000 moms who signed the Declaration of Mothers. Karen, can you join me?
Yep.
And here's another 1,000. And here's a map of where all those mothers signed. We told them.
A very not updated map.
It actually is. It's a whole lot more than this.
It should be all gold right now.
This is a few months ago, and it's blown up. We have thousands and thousands of mothers who signed the Declaration of Mothers to declare that truth is self-evident, family matters, and freedom is worth fighting for. When we asked them to sign this, we said we know that there's at least one woman in every city and town in this country who still cares about these things, and if you sign it, we'll light up your city. This was about 6 months ago. When we update it, it's going to be all gold filled with light. And we want you to be a part of this movement.
And the one thing that I want to point out is we couldn't buy 45,000 index cards. It would have been impossible to haul them over here. But over 45,000 women have now signed this declaration along with us and joined forces with us and said that we will stand for truth in America and we will fight for the culture of our nation. And I just want you to know that there's 1,000 cards here, 1,000 cards there. Just figure 20 times these cards, and that's what we've got. And these cards don't represent a woman. These cards represent a household. These cards represent the future of our nation. And we're over 40,000 strong right now, and we encourage you to join us at Moms March USA and Moms for America. God bless you all.
I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and may God bless you. And may He continue through our efforts to bless this nation. This is our State of the Union address. The State of the Union is in peril, but we as the mothers of America have the ability to turn it around in one generation, and we hope you'll join us to do that. God bless you all.
Good night.